right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Fallen Flags America. In today's episode, we will be discussing the General Electric Dash 8 series. So we will just choose a picture here. There we go. Alright, so the General Electric Dash 8 series is a line of diesel electric freight locomotives built by General Electric Transportation Systems. It replaced the General Electric Dash 7 series of the mid 1980s and was superseded. So, that's not right. And was succeeded by the General Electric Dash 9 series for freight use and the Genesis series for passenger service in the mid 90s. All models of the Dash 8 series featured a 16-cylinder or 12-cylinder turbocharged General Electric 7 FDL 4-stroke diesel engine. The design of the Dash 8 series was based upon that of the Dash 7 series. The biggest changes introduced during the production of the Dash 8 series were the first use of microprocessor-equipped engine control unit in a diesel locomotive and the adaptation of a modular system in the construction of the vehicle body. The Dash 8 locomotive bodies were assembled from several modules, creating a combination to fit the length on the chassis. On models with a traditional narrow short hood, part of the equipment room immediately behind the cab is taller than the top of the rounded roof, giving these models a distinctive appearance. On all models, that part of the equipment room houses the cooling fans for the dynamic braking system. Traction motors of Dash 8 locomotives were powered by DC current, or direct current. The Dash 8 prototype was completed in 1984. The manufacture of the improved production units started in earnest in 1987. Early versions of the Dash 8 were manufactured on the Dash 7 production line, but their general appearance was different. The Dash 8, the Dash 8 40C or C40-8, introduced in 1987, featured improved reliability. Naming of the Dash 8 series and that of its various models corresponded intentionally with that of its predecessor, the Dash 7. So, for example, the B32-8, designated as a BB wheel arrangement, configured 3,200 horsepower or 2,390 kilowatts, a Dash 8 series locomotive. After product improvements were made in the line in 1987, the official designations for models in this series changed to Dash 8, as shown below. However, for simplicity, many railroads decided to use designations which follow the pattern of a Dash 7 line. For example, the C40-8 is usually rendered as C40-8. The W suffix, used for some models, indicates the then optional Y cab, or North American safety cab. 4-axle models. For specifications to all Dash 8 Series 4-axle models are shown as follows: an AAR wheel arrangement, BB, a prime mover, a General Electric 16-cylinder V-type 7FDL 16-cylinder 4-stroke diesel engine. The first model we come to of the Dash 8s on the 4-axle versions are the Dash 832B or the B32-8, whichever you prefer. This model was manufactured between 1984 and 1989. Only 4 examples of the model are built for North American railroads. All but 4 of these units were ordered by Norfolk Southern. The others where 3 units are ordered by the Burlington Northern Railroad and a GE demonstrator unit. They feature the General Electric's 12-cylinder V-type 7FDL engine, 7FDL 4-stroke diesel engine. They had a power output of 3,158 horsepower. The B36-8. This model, a one-off, was the original Dash 8 prototype built in 1983. It had a power output of 3,600 horsepower or 2,680 kilowatts. A total of 145 examples of this model were manufactured from 1984. Its external appearance is almost the same of that of the later B40-8, with the obvious exception of the trucks. The first 3 B39-8s were built for the Atchison, Topeka, Santa Fe Railway, or ATSF. A fourth model of the example, a GE demonstrator, is designated as a GE B39-8E or B39-8E or Dash 8 39BE, was converted from the original Dash 8 prototype. There were also two much larger groups of this model. The 102 built GE B39-8Es were fabricated for Locomotive Management Services, or LMSX, and placed on long-term lease to Burlington Northern. The remaining 40 were built for the Southern Pacific Railroad. They had a power output of 3,900 horsepower, or 2,910 kilowatts. Next up, we get to the B40-8. In 1988 and 1989, a total of 150 units of this model were produced. Substantial orders for this model came from the ATSF with 40, Conrail with 30, the New York, Susquehanna, and Western with 24, and the model's biggest customer, the St. Louis Southwestern Railway, or Cotton Belt, with 54 units. There were also small orders from the Province and Worcester Railroad with 4, and the United States Department of Energy to the Savannah River site and a GE demonstrator unit. They had a power output of 4,000 horsepower or 2,980 kilowatts. Next up, we get to the B40-8W. 83 examples of this model were built for the Santa Fe in the early 1990s. Santa Fe was the only railroad to order this model of a B40-8. There was also one GE prototype and testbed rebuilt from the prototype B39-8E. The W suffix to this model's name indicates that it differs from a B40-8, having a wide-nose safety cab. GE was almost commissioned by Santa Fe to make a B unit, cabless booster unit version of this model, but because the price would have been the same for B40-8Ws, with cabs or without, ATSF decided to order units with cabs only. All of the ATSF's B40-8Ws became part of BNSF, and many were later relivered into one of BNSF's liveries. All these have since been retired. They had a power output of 4,000 horsepower, or 2,980 kilowatts, with the 7FDL 16-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine. Next up, we get to the B32-8WH. A total of 20 units of this type were built, with the last units being delivered in December of 1991. All were built specifically for Amtrak and numbered 500 to 519. They were nicknamed Pepsi cans and hockey sticks by many rail fans due to being originally painted in a wide striped red, white, and blue livery, known as Phase 3 paint. Since the most recent overhaul, however, the locomotives now have the current Phase 5 blue silver livery with the current Wave logo. They were they were the first locomotives that Amtrak purchased to replace the F40PH before the introduction of the General Electric Genesis series, with the P40DC and P42DC locomotives in 1993. Although the units have since been relegated to yard service, maintenance of way service, and transfer service, they can still be seen on passenger trains. Two of the units, Amtrak's numbers 501 and 502, were sold to the California Department of Transportation, or CDTX, in 1994. The locomotives were renumbered to 2051 and 2052 and received the Amtrak California paint scheme. They are currently being used on the state-supported San Quentin and Capital Corridor trains. They had a power output of 3,200 horsepower, or 2.4 megawatts. Next, we get to the six-axle models. Specifications to all Dash 8 series include six-axle models, except where stated, are as follows: an ARR wheel arrangement CC, or six-axle, prime mover, a General Electric 16-cylinder V-type 7FDL 16-cylinder 4-stroke diesel engine. They have a maximum speed of 68 miles per hour or 109 kilometers per hour. The C32-8. This is one of the earliest models in the Dash 8 series. Only 10 were built in 1984, all going to Conrail. Intentionally, these units were painted Conrail standard blue livery, but in 1997, Conrail assigned all 10 of them to the Ballast Express service, and they are repainted into the gray version of the Conrail quality scheme. One C32-8 was eventually bought by Brazil Ferravotas, or BF, after being retired by Conrail. However, this unit developed problems with its electronics and therefore was decommissioned to supply parts from the mechanically similar C40-7As operated on the Carolta to Quintilla Railroad. The prime mover was a General Electric 12-cylinder V-type 7FDL 4-stroke engine with a power output of 3,200 horsepower, or 2,390 kilowatts. Between 1984 and 1987, Next, we get to the C39-8. Between 1984 and 1987, a total of 161 units of this model were produced for two American railroads, Conrail and Norfolk Southern. An intentional batch of the standard version of this model were built for Norfolk Southern, which then ordered a batch of 25 examples of the C39-8E, or enhanced model, of a car body similar to that of the C40-8. Conrail ordered 22 of the standard version. After the Conrail split, 13 units of this order went to Norfolk Southern, and the remaining 9 went to CSX. They had a power output of 3,900 horsepower, or 2,910 kilowatts. The C40-8. This was the first model of any locomotive series to be fitted with a microprocessor-equipped engine control. A total of 581 examples of this model were built between 1987 and 1992. The C40-8 has a traditional narrow short hood, but otherwise its external appearance is almost the same as that of the later C40-8W model. The most important customer for this model was the Union Pacific, which had the largest order of 257 units. Other large orders for this model came from the Chicago Northwestern Transportation Company with 77 units, Conrail 25, CSX with 147, and Norfolk Southern with 75. The remaining 4 units were supplied to the Etricalta de Ferrocarrilages Railroad of Brazil. 4,000, they had their power output was 4,000 horsepower or 2,980 kilowatts. Next up is the C40-8M. Mechanically identical to the C40-8, see above, and the C44-8W, see below, this model was constructed between 1990 and 1994 exclusively for Canadian railways, with a production of 84 locomotives. The model was designated from the C40-8 CW, the C40-8W, by the addition of the full-width cowl body and the use of Canada specification nose and windshield configuration. BC Rail and Canadian National ordered 26 and 55 locomotives respectively, with the Quebec, North Shore, and Labrador Railway acquiring 3. 4,000 horsepower was the power output for this locomotive, or 2,980 kilowatts. Next, we get to the C40-8W. Early versions of this model differ from the C40-8 only in having a wide or safety cab. A total of 756 examples of this model were built, with the first being delivered to Union Pacific in 1990. The C40-8W was continuously upgraded over the course of its production. Later model Conrail units were built with split cooling systems for the turbocharger, intercooler, and engine cooling. Previously, Dash 8 series had both on the same cooling system. The units were delivered to Conrail in 1993 and 1994, were equipped with GE's Integrated Function Displays, or IFD, panel. Some of the Conrail C40-8s were operated by Conrail, or lease units owned by LMS, or Leasing Management Services. The other railroads that operated C40-8Ws as original owners were the Santa Fe, CSX, and Union Pacific. It had a power output of 4,000 horsepower or 2,980 kilowatts. The C41-8W. This model is a variation of the C40-8W with the same 16-cylinder engine upgraded to 4,135 horsepower or just over 3,000 kilowatts. A total of 154 C40-8Ws were purchased between 1993 and 1994, going exclusively to the Union Pacific and Santa Fe, respectively. Some C40-8Ws were similarly uprated to the C41-8W standard by the railroads. It had a power output of 4,135 horsepower, or just over 3,000 kilowatts. The C44-8W. A total of 53 examples of this model were built in 1993 to 1994, all of them for CSX numbered 9,000 through 9,052. This was the pre-production version of the Dash 9 series, continuing its innards but having an extended Dash 8 car body, with the exception of the first 3 locomotives. They were all derated to 4,000 horsepower. Power output was originally 4,400 horsepower, or 3,280 kilowatts, later changed to 4,000 horsepower, or 2,980 kilowatts. Thank you for watching this episode of Fallen Flags of America. Um, this is L&M Productions, out.